Once upon a northern town, a theatre was born. In 1893, this former foundry became a Victorian theatre. Amongst the dirt of the Industrial Revolution, here is a place where the hard-working, with the dust of the cotton mills still on their faces, could enjoy a song, a joke, and men wearing makeup, dressed in bloomers.
When you ought to be truthin', and you keep losing when you ought to not bet. You keep saying when you ought to be a-changin'. Now what's right is right.
In 1969, the local theatre group bought the theatre and have run it ever since as a charity. Surviving completely on their wits and the generosity of local volunteers, every year could be their last. It could also be their best. This year's pantomime is Puss in Boots.
It's Panto time at the theatre. Can we ask you to put a poster up as you usually do?
Of course you can.
Thank you very much.
You keep playing where you shouldn't be playing, and you keep thinking that you'll never get burned. Ha! I just found me a brand new box of matches, yeah. And what he knows you ain't had time to learn. These boots are made for...
But people have their private lives to lead and commitments outside of the show, and sometimes the real world makes its demands and we have to respond.
And we go into Living Doll, okay? We haven't done the movement to it yet, but there will be movement which you'll all join in on, and it'll probably copy what the Living Doll's doing, okay?
Well, we're halfway through rehearsals for Panto, and we actually opened 7 weeks today, so there's still a lot of work to do.
Dr. Frankenstein, the test tubes have just changed colour, and the body on the slab has started to move.
Where's Frankenstein gone? I know you're only reading in, but I just want you to read in so we can move into the next bit.
Jim, the director, has been with the company 7 years, and his wife is the lead, Puss.
So, Living Doll's finished.
Based at the Bake-Up Royal Court Theatre, the Society own the theatre, and it's a unique position to be in.
The show is Puss in Boots. My husband Jim is going to be directing it. I'm going to be playing the part of Puss in Boots. You don't get parts by sleeping with the director, because this is my first part that he's directed.
Running up to last year's pantomime, did all the auditions and the rehearsals and took it right up to a couple of nights before the dress rehearsal, and sadly lost the sight of my eyes with some retinal problems.
Graham is the company's musical director. For most of his life, he suffered a debilitating disease which is slowly eating away at his vision. This year, he's back. He's had revolutionary surgery to restore his sight. However, he only has limited vision in one eye, and having just come out of surgery, he's pushing his recovery to get back into rehearsals in time for the show.
Believe it or not, I've had the same problem again this year. Some 4 weeks into rehearsals now, I'm struggling again with the sight. They've operated on it. I had the operation last Thursday, so this is my first week, and it should really be a week of recouping. Having said that, I've sneaked out to come down to rehearsal. My eye will be fine. I'll be at that first performance in January. You can bet on it.
That's for our little brother Arthur. Well, he's going to have something his fortune, hasn't he? And he won't get it. When he gets back, he'll have a big surprise, won't he? Because we've let the mill go to rack and ruin, haven't we?
And what was that then?
I should have been doing some form of impression there, shouldn't I?
Well, yeah.
Never mind.
The Dame has been played for the last 11 years by Kenneth Marshall. Now 71, he's the oldest member of the cast and has a son, aged 14, also in a starring role.
Anyway, there you are, my darlings. It's called Say Your Prayers, and it's by Kneel Down.
We've probably got 8, 9, 10 people missing tonight. Around about 10 to 7, I got a text from one of the two cobblers to say that they wouldn't be coming to rehearsal tonight because they were taking their mother out for a meal as it's her birthday, which is great for them, but again, it affects rehearsals.
Family parties, church carol services, there are other things that do interrupt rehearsals, but as far as possible, I personally try to attend as many rehearsals as I can, because I need it.
Right, Janice, it's all yours. So.
Well, can we go for what we've done? See how you've gone on with those? The few that's here.
I suppose I get a little bit stressed when people are missing and I'm trying to put a routine together.
Ones, please. No ones.
It doesn't make it easy when you've set numbers and then you've got to work them out again and, reposition people. We were, quite a few numbers in the chorus, but unfortunately they seem to have dropped off along the way.
It's no use trying to struggle with me. Away to the evil laboratory, to Dr. Frankenstein, who's cruel and mean.
I'm Director of Adult Mental Health Services for East Lancashire. I'm in a rock and pop covers band as well called A Few Good Men. And there's the 5 kids as well, which adds to it. So, but it's better than being bored.
As they exit, King, Queen and Lord Edam enter.
Hello, objects! Subjects! Sorry.
Come over here,
We are.
Yes? Yeah, you lot have gone now.
I get told that I get stressed out. I don't think I get stressed out because for me this is a hobby. It's something I do in my own personal time, so I do enjoy it.
He doesn't particularly lose his rag, but his comments get a bit more bowed as the stress levels go up, and then usually someone takes the mickey and pulls him back down to earth a bit. Often his wife.
He doesn't get as stressed as he did the first panto that we did, that he directed. We did actually have a few arguments when that one was going on because he wanted to take everything on board, not just sticking to the directing side of things. It kind of overtook our lives a little bit and he did get stressed, yeah. It's difficult for me at times because I don't like being told what to do. Especially there is times like when he is directing and if I don't do something that he says, or he can get quite shirty with me, probably more so than some of the other members of the cast. But he doesn't do it too often. He's pretty fair and he's very good as well at getting other people's opinions and allowing them to put their input into things and not just telling everybody what they should be doing, what his ideas are.
For anyone who knows that they can't be here, Sophie, because you can't get a lift, is that right? It's a shame because a lot of your songs need to be gone through. No chance. No. Anyone else can't make it?
The big thing that's happened this week, of course, is the weather, the snow and the ice and the sort of big threat of blizzards hitting this area overnight has caused a lot of panic for people. Janice, the choreographer, she's off on 2 weeks holiday as of Sunday, so we'll be without her, and when she comes back she's still got quite a bit of work to do with the cast in that couple of weeks leading up to Christmas, so it's on course, it'll happen.
The theatre itself has a checkered past. The former foundry is haunted by several ghosts, and séances are frequently held here. This doesn't put the theatre group off, though.
So would you like a tour then? You won't be frightened, will you? The theatre was actually built in 1850 when it opened from James Barker and Sons as a foundry. In 1885 it finally closed. John Walters and a Mr Love bought the premises in 1892, converted it to the theatre that you basically see today. We bought it as a society in 1968 and we've gradually added all the theatre bits to it that we have. As you can see, we do have a fly tower where men operate all the cloths that come in between a show, and they're all manually let down on ropes. All modern theatres have it all electronically from the side of the theatre, but we wanted to keep it as a working museum. Besides several ghosts, we do have a lot of spirit-seeking groups that come in that hire the theatre during the night. They come in with all their equipment and they see all these orbs flying around and different kind of apparitions that they've seen. We have had 2 mediums on stage, independent mediums, and they've both described a lady, both named her as Nora. She's a smallish lady that has a white frilly apron and a white mop cap. And this is where you will find Nora will sit. When the seat lowers, you know that she's present. She's a good ghost, really, except she doesn't like workmen. She will pinch the tools if they annoy her. I wrote a book in 1993 about the history of the theatre for the centenary year, and since then I've been chairman, vice chairman, washing toilets. It's a society where everybody has to muck in, and just to keep the theatre going, really. Unfortunately, the second ghost isn't very welcoming, and quite often when we're the last out at night, you're on your own, you have to put the electric off there, and you feel a pair of evil eyes looking into the back of your head, to the extent that we had to have extra lighting put in, because it was quite frightening when you were in the dark. I used to rush out that quick, I used to fall down the steps, so it doesn't happen now though. Well, it's a passion that it just envelops you. So many people, once you're actually here, whether it's the ghost that gets hold of you or what, I don't know, but it's just part of you. The theatre's part of you, and really it's just something that you can't let go.
I am sort of resident designer. I do all their shows and have done for the last 3-4 years. I'm always sort of excited about doing pantomime because it's a different world completely to the usual musicals or the plays, because you can sort of let your imagination run wild.
Rehearsals last for 13 weeks. That's over 100 hours, not including time for preparation and research. The company own the theatre, which means they can rehearse and build sets on site, which is a great advantage.
We have the canal just to the side of that where the Queen of Catland will appear on a gondola sort of stroke boat effect. When your audience are in that theatre, I want them to look into it as if it's a storybook, because that's what you're sort of telling on stage.
Money can be an issue because obviously it costs money to put a production on, everything from paying the rights to the panto writer and the rights to the owner of the script, right through to paying for your set and paying your musicians, but everyone else involved doesn't receive any payment. Obviously the running of the theatre costs, particularly these days with the cost of heating and lighting. As a theatre and a society, we have actively sought grant funding from various sources. We've not been very successful with that. Our youth society have, because there are funders out there that want to provide funding for youth education and work around young people, and that's great, and you know we have benefited from that. But as an adult society, we do struggle.
They must always keep an eye on budgets and frequently rent the theatre out to other organisations and groups to try and claw back the running costs.
We did have an arrangement with another society where, because they've not got a theatre to use of their own, they use ours to put on their shows, and they lend us some of the sound and lighting, but there was a bit of a rift went on last week, and without saying anything they took everything and left us with nothing. So luckily people have pulled together, and another society from Colne have lent us some people to work our sound and lighting and some equipment as well, but we are going to have to hire some in. So it's been a bit of a week.
Of course, another running cost is the costumes. All important if you're a leading lady.
I'm not a cross-dresser or anything, but you know, a dame wears frocks, and I mean it's tradition, of course, and they're normally very colourful, sometimes very silly. And especially at the end, they're can be very elaborate.
The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. The prairie sky is wide and high, deep in the heart of Texas.
Pantomime's quick changes to get people in and out of costume quickly. And sometimes the costumes can't be washed, they've got to be dry cleaned. Very, very whiffy if you're not careful, especially if they're on a long run. There you go. So that's 3 there, 4 there. There's only that one, 5, 6, 7. 7? 6. Well, you said 7. 7.
I started because all the family were there in one way or another. Fly crew, dancing, and my husband's stage manager, backstage crew. So I started doing the coffee bar and worked my way up from there.
She didn't know what she was doing when she started it. She hadn't got a clue. So where do you want your pocket? Right or left? I started with one of the local amateur dramatic societies as doing what Judy's doing now, wardrobe mistress. And my husband thought I could do better. I could have done better. And the next thing I knew, I was going to Liverpool for an interview to get in on a 3-year degree course. Did the training at Stratford and Covent Garden and making beautiful, beautiful costumes for very, very famous people. And I loved it. So I couldn't, with having a husband and 2 children, I couldn't work in London when they offered me the job. So the head lecturer said, start your own business but keep the same standard, and that's what I've done, and it's just grown.
I run the paranormal nights. We stop overnight. Groups come in with their mediums and we go to blackout and we see what happens. Seats go down. There is one wardrobe room, one dressing room that I don't like, and everybody has a story about what's happened to them back there.
Oh, this is Simon's. With his whip.
And if you want to pay for these lovely costumes, there's one solution in theatre: bums on seats. Jim decides, as it's the first time costumes have been on show, a trip to the local supermarket to promote the panto is in order.
I can be booked for private parties.
In an effort to get more people in, Jim has called the local press in. For the cast, it's a chance to try out some of their lines in costume finally.
Oh, did you say from your master's enormous scar?
And a first glimpse of life in the spotlight. Meanwhile, rehearsals continue, as do people's lives.
It was just after Christmas, Boxing Day. We were due to be in for a rehearsal leading into dress rehearsal, and woke up and started to feel sort of double image, and felt quite dizzy with it. And everything that's dark around you seems a lot more darker when you suffer with retinal problems. Probably at about 25% vision, something like that, 30% vision at the moment. Things are still quite blurred. I can see lots of shapes. I can identify people, but things at distance are very difficult, and obviously as light fades it gets very difficult. And the other eye completely blind, and I've been for some 10 or 15 years now, something like that. This year they've done a different technique with an oil bubble, so now I have an oil bubble surrounding the eye that's holding the retina very firmly in place, and luckily I'm allowed to move around, so I can still be involved in some rehearsals, and I've got enough vision to be able to get through, definitely, to do the production. I think the real driving force that makes me still want to be involved in pantomimes and in music in general is there's a great deal of... I get a lot of passion through music, and always got a lot of passion through working with young people in music especially. And to see something start, in the infancy of rehearsals and see it right the way through to the very end, it's fantastic, and there's a real buzz to have played a part and helped a lot of those people you know, to put on a great production, and I think that's what keeps you going when you face such things like this. You do think a lot when you're in hospital about, well, what if this one proves unsuccessful, and then how would you carry on? I mean, but the reality is there's thousands and thousands of people in this country with far worse conditions than that who get on with everyday life. So why would you not get on with it? You just do, because that's the people. That's who we are.
After a few last-minute changes, rehearsals start at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. The cold weather continues, and some cast members are still struggling to attend.
If Ashley doesn't come to rehearsals next week, we're going to have to look at an alternative.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Vicky's going to be a little bit late. We have no Glenn.
4 weeks to opening, 4 weeks tomorrow. And yeah, the tension's starting to build, which it always does at this stage.
Just do that final bit again.
Those tacky boots against Dr. Frankenstein.
What do we do then?
The machine's changed that. I'm scared. She's a robot. Now, those lines have been assigned to people.
I didn't know what you were doing.
Sorry. That's when the princess comes out. Where is the princess?
Right. Monster! Monster's behind you.
What is?
Monster!
Behind you, it's got over there. No, you're not looking in the right place.
Certainly at this stage, I perhaps do snap a bit more. I do turn around and tell people.
Blackout. End the scene. On with the next scene.
With so few rehearsals left, there's still much to do.
There's parts of Act 2, it's almost new to some people because we've not had the right people in place to do the rehearsals properly.
Jim has finally settled on Oliver, Ken's son, to play the king, who's also the dame's husband. It's his first full rehearsal, and his character's flirting with Dr. Frankenstein is proving a difficult task for this 16-year-old. Having your dad in the wings, dressed as a woman, can't be helping.
Jingle, jingle. Right. Ready, Jim?
There's still some movement to be set, but Janice, our choreographer, has been away for 2 weeks.
3, 4. I thought Emmeline weren't in it.
They're not both doing it anymore.
Yeah, she used to be in it. Is Lauren not doing it?
No, they're both That's why we said...
I seem to have come back to a lot less numbers on the stage than I had before.
I think Graham's doing fine. He's not 100%, but he's determined to carry on with things, and he doesn't want to miss out on MD and Panto this year like he had to last year.
And you keep thinking that you'll never get burned. Ha!
Will the costumes be ready? Which cast members will drop out next? Will the audience turn up? Join us in the next episode of The Panto.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you.